You are now listening to Mike's Opinion, Logic Unleashed.
Right now, as I speak, there is a mass that's about 50 miles wide, swirling and rotating, filled with a great amount of energy. Tornadoes, lightning, rain, and winds. "50 miles wide, and it's moving towards land. It's moving towards Florida. We have named it Hurricane Idalia. It's the latest in an unknown amount of hurricanes. At the time of this recording, it's very early morning, August 30th, 2023. It's strengthened to a Category 3. A Category 3 storm, hurricane rather, according to the Saffir-Simpson hurricane scale. More on that in a minute. Between 111 and 129 per mile an hour. Sustained winds. And that's Category 3. And it's expected to strengthen to a Category 4, which is between 130 and 156 miles per hour, sustained winds. Now, I said I would get back to this scale name in a second. The Saffir-Simpson hurricane wind scale is between 1 and 5, 5 being the worst, and it's strictly wind. So when you hear a hurricane is a Category 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, they're only talking about the wind damage. They are not taking into consideration storm surge, rainfall, flooding, and tornadoes. They're not even taking that into consideration. They're just talking about the sustained winds. And I want to put this in perspective for you for just a minute. Wind is amazing. But you know that breeze in a storm that unfolds your umbrella, you got to buy a new umbrella, that might be 10 to 15 mile an hour wind. And that's just a gust. And a gust will just come and then it'll go. We're talking sustained. Means this gust, this blowing of wind does not stop. You are now tuned in to the Mike's Opinion podcast, and I thank you for doing so. As always, I hope you're doing all right. I hope you're doing okay. And if you're in Florida, batten down the hatches, evacuate, do what you got to do, because ooh-wee. Listen, I wanted to do this as a public service announcement, just as a reminder Be prepared. We live in a time we can check the radar, we can check the temperature. Now, I don't trust forecasts more than 3 days because weather will flip on you quick. Like the meteorologists will be like, oh, it's gonna be sunny, next week. It'll be a storm and tornadoes. Because the computer models, human intuition, or the people that had broken bones, and they say, oh, my bones flaring up, it's gonna rain tomorrow. Look, weather is unpredictable. And this latest hurricane, because we're in hurricane season right now, it just reminded me of the seriousness of the weather here on planet Earth. And there's weather systems that have been monitored on other celestial bodies, on other planets. There are storms that don't never stop, that are the size of Earth. Yeah. So, shout out to my people in Florida. I got people in Florida. I used to live in Florida. But it made me dig in a little bit deeper because, for instance, I live in Texas now. I used to live in New York City, born and raised in New York City. I'm a New York City native. And like I said, I've lived in Florida, I've lived other places, visited many other places, traveled abroad. I haven't seen the whole planet, but I've seen a good portion of it. Just this week, and it's only Wednesday, just this week alone, sadly, two little kids. Well, one was a younger kid, middle school kid, another one was a high school kid, but they died. And it happens every year. They died playing football practice. I don't know who thinks that it's a good idea to practice in polyester or whatever the uniforms are made out of, mostly polyester, and a helmet when it's over 100 degrees outside and the humidity is high and the heat index ain't playing. Wifey and I, we homeschool our son. Let me rephrase that. She homeschools our son 99% of the time. I'm trying to get more involved, but I got a business to run and we can't do both. So, but she handles that and she does an excellent job. But we have foregone the play dates because it's too hot. It's too hot. And we ain't playing. Heat-related illnesses and deaths are real. And I'm not risking my child and stay hydrated. Listen, no, yo. There's no reason. No. No. Do you understand what I'm saying? Heat-related deaths and illnesses are real. And if you believe in climate change, as I do, I hate to even say it as a title. The earth, it's nothing new. The earth is constantly in a state of perpetual change. Constant and perpetual in the same word, in the same sense, don't make sense. But because it's the same thing, right? But it's the earth is changing. They just found an ocean underneath the earth's crust. It's amazing to me the arrogance of human beings, particularly scientists and astronomers. They just think, we got it all figured out. We know all the physics. No, you don't. And I know I'm doing it again. I know I digress, but it's all connected. It really, really is. But we don't know everything. We've been recording history for 3, 4, 500 years and thousands of years. Of course, we dig up stuff and go, we now know what happened over here and here. No, yo, this planet been around for a long, long time. And it was here before we were here. Now, I'm not knocking nobody's faith. If you believe the earth was created 2,000 years ago, and then, a divine being called God just put a man here, and I'm not knocking anybody's faith. You believe what you want to believe. But we've only been recording hurricanes a few hundred years. Um, we don't know what the biggest one has been. We know what we've recorded since we've been here, and we started. Somebody said, "Oh, let's write. Let me write that down because we need to remember this. We need to let people know that this happened." And speaking of that, there are, when they measure, and I say they, the scientists, geologists, all the people that are in these fields that measure these events. There's when I have information on tornadoes, earthquakes, hurricanes, and doing the research, it became evident that if you search for, I almost said the word, I'm not saying they were the world's biggest search engine. You know who I'm talking about. I'm not saying their name. You know why? Because I'm not sponsored. Speaking of which, L, copy one of these right here. Links in the show notes. Mike's Opinion Podcast t-shirt. Get in multiple colors. Get a hat, a mug. You can get all that. Go check that out. Support the show, please. Like, share, subscribe, follow, comment. Do all of that. If you got a few dollars, the GoFundMe is out there. Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, or you can send me a big box of cash. Shoot me an email at mikesopinionshow@gmail.com. I will shoot you my mailing address gladly. Excuse me. But when measuring tornadoes, earthquakes, hurricanes, stuff like that, there's different ways to measure it. Like if you search the top 5 hurricanes in the US or the top 5 hurricanes of all time or worldwide or whatever, set of information you're trying to get, sometimes it's measured in the amount of how many people died. Sometimes it's measured in the way how much it cost, like $10 billion of damage. Sometimes it might be measured, in property damage. It might be measured in intensity. It might be in intensity in longevity, how long the incident lasted. So the list vary, but I kind of saw commonality, like storms that showed up on almost every list. So like we all know here in the United States, if you ask the average person, like, yo, what's the most memorable or the biggest hurricane or whatever, a lot of people will say Michael, which is me. Shout out to Mike. No, that didn't. I don't want to be a hurricane. I almost said something there, but anyway. But Katrina. A lot of people say Katrina. That's what comes to mind because they think about the New Orleans mayor, how he handled it, the president, how he handled it, the president who was president at the time. So Katrina, Michael, while on the list, don't rank up there with several others. But like I said, again, it's how you measure it because Hurricane Sandy back in 2012. There was David, back in 1979. Gene was in 2004. Flora back in 1963 killed 7,000 people. Okay. 7,000 people. One that stuck out to me was Galveston, was right here in Texas. Between 10 and 20,000 people died near 1900 from Galveston. There was also Fiji, or Fifi rather, Hurricane Fifi. 8,000 people died in 1974. Um, Play with this shit if you want to. I highly recommend you don't. I highly recommend you get as prepared as you can because it doesn't matter what region you in. We all have natural disasters. I talk to my brother from another mother all the time. And we both from New York, grew up in New York, ran the streets of New York together. Anyway, he live in Cali now. I live in Texas now. And we debate about our natural disasters, our native natural disasters. Like here in Texas, it's the heat, but it's them tornadoes. I live in Tornado Alley. And I'll be the first to admit I ain't had that in New York, even though they happen in all 50 states. They have hurricanes that roll through New York. My first day of high school, never forget it. I'm at the bus stop in a hurricane because New York, they ain't shutting down. Yo, it got to be 2 feet of snow before they shut down the school. First day of school, high school, ninth grade, I'm holding on to the bus stop pole, trying not to get blown away, waiting for the bus. The wood, the rain is going sideways. Took my ass to school though. Sure did. But my brother and I always go back and forth. Like, I take the hurricanes all day. I mean, excuse me, the tornadoes here in Texas all day. And even though they can be devastating, like they can wipe your whole shit. They can wipe your whole house off the foundation. Ain't nothing left but the concrete slab. The plumbing, everything is gone. Play with it if you want to. Earthquakes, he got out there in Cali. Yo, if the big one ever hit, it's a wrap. State of California is going into the Pacific. The ocean is going to swallow the state. Yo, I got some information on some hurricanes. Yo, oh, and listen. I did this episode. I'm doing this episode because I just want to, just say, yo, I saw this hurricane. Hurricane season is here. Be prepared. Get a little backpack or something, throw some canned food in there. You can get, I mean, there are preppers that are prepped for the end of the world, as prepped as they can be. Because if the earth crust move, it's a wrap. I don't care if you're underground in a mountain or nothing. We're done. But unless you got a spaceship or maybe can get deep enough in the ocean, I don't think too many people on this planet have that. But I got theories on that too, which I'm not going to go into right now. But I just want you to be prepared. I'm not trying to scare you, I'm not trying to bum you out. But being prepared can save your life. Or it can make a tragedy or a catastrophe a little bit easier to deal with. Because with this 30 to 50-mile mass that's moving towards Florida right now, they've already told people mandatory in certain places evacuate. You got to go. We don't care if you want to or not. Get out. Sustained winds right now 120 plus miles an hour. Think about going in a car 120 miles an hour. We usually do what? What's the speed limit? 65, 70 in some places, right? And still people come blowing past us. That wind is sustained. And like I said, that ain't even it. We're not talking about the rain, the lightning, the tornadoes, the water. Do not fuck with the weather. That's all I'm trying to tell you. And it don't matter what it is. It don't even have to be an environmental disaster. It could be civil unrest. It could be war. It could be anything. Having that bag that you ain't got to pack, that you could just grab it and go, is a wonderful thing to have. You could throw some weaponry in there. You could throw some snacks. You could throw some changes of clothes. Like, think about if you just out and you can't get back to your house, what you gonna need. Of course, people gonna say they charge it. Suppose ain't no electricity, but having that backup charger, because maybe the phone system is all down, maybe the internet is down. But having a phone, a way to communicate, so I get it. So having a couple of charged up power banks. And then I'm not a prepper, I'm not a specialist. I'm just gonna say that. And I need to really get on my bug out bag game if I'm being keeping it 100. But I know people that got the MREs, the meals ready to eat that have a shelf life for like 10, 15 years in these little sealed packets. It's not gourmet. No, it's not delicious. But guess what it's going to do? It's going to sustain your life. They got the pills that can purify water or purify your urine. They got the water bottles now. You could dip it in the lake and it'll filter it for you. Take advantage of these innovations and these technologies that we are fortunate to live with. And I don't know how much money you got. I'm not pocket watching. I'm not in your pocket, but there's degrees of this. You can get a $5 bug out bag, and you say, "Yo, Mike, $5 really? Yes, it's gonna be a paper bag. It's not gonna be a backpack or nothing fancy, but you could throw some snacks in there. You can get one of them really cheap bottles of water." And whatever else you want to put in your paper bag, that's $5 or less. Go to the dollar store, which ain't even a dollar store no more, man. It's $1.25. Ah. I just thought about something. God bless the people who lost their life in the dollar store in Florida that were killed by a hateful individual. Shout out to my brothers and sisters, my black people that lost their lives. Yeah. I thought about that just now when I said the dollar store. But you don't know when it's going to happen. Now, fortunately for us, a lot of us, like I live in Tornado Alley. And when I tell you these storms ain't no joke, yo, I've been in Texas for a minute, many minutes, and I have not seen one with my eyes. I've seen one come down, but it didn't hit the ground. But when I tell you it's to be respected, because it'll take your life, it'll take your house, make you homeless and or dead. So I'll be monitoring the weather because I can outrun one of these tornadic storms. Hurricane, we got forecasts. We know they coming days in advance. Earthquakes? Yo, my brother from another mother. I know you be checking out the pod. Yo, hey, listen. They really ain't a whole lot of warning system they got for the earthquakes. The earth could just shake. And it's a wrap. I hope it don't happen to you though. Real talk. I told you need to move to Texas. Everybody else is. You know what I'm saying? That's why the housing market is crazy now because everybody moving here. Anyway, I digress. But Hurricane Mitch, 10,000, 20,000 people dead. Tornadoes, April 26, 1989, in Bangladesh. 1,300 people dead. They said it was a mile wide. A mile wide. Tri-state tornado in 1925. 219-mile path. It's recorded as the longest tornado. It stayed on the ground longer than any other tornado. And they say winds may have exceeded tornado, mile wide winds more than 300 miles per hour. I just, it's easy just to say these numbers, say these words. We live in this instant society, right? Everything's quick. We on to the next, on to the next, on to the next. But I just want you to just stop for a minute. Think about this. 1925, nearly 100 years ago, we didn't have these advancements in technology. We didn't have these early warning systems. And a column of moving, swirling, turning, twisting wind just comes out of nowhere. And all of a sudden, before you can react, your wall is gone. Your roof is gone. A lot of people equate the sound to the sound of a freight train. And if you've never been near a freight train that's on the move at, I don't know, 50, 60, 70 miles an hour, I can tell you it's impressive. The Great Natchez Tornado of 1840 in Mississippi. 1896 St. Louis tornado, the Tupelo tornado of 1936. There's a lot of times these tornadoes don't get named these days, but these storms, you see the satellite imagery of a hurricane, and they call the eyes very peaceful right in that center, but all around it and in it are these powerful forces. And let me tell you something. If you're a venture seeker, an adrenaline junkie, and you're looking for an exciting job, they have all kinds of storm hunters. There's people that chase tornadoes here in the South and in Tornado Alley. But there are also people that fly into hurricanes to get measurements in an actual airplane. They fly in to the hurricane. There's video. Feel free to look it up. While you're on YouTube checking out the Mike's Opinion podcast, go check that out. Because, oh, crazy. I'm like, yo, it takes a skilled pilot, and you gotta be a little adventurous, I'd say. Right? So I'm gonna wrap this up. I just want like I said, this to be a quick PSA, but I just want to, I'll cover tornadoes, hurricanes, earthquakes. The strongest earthquake ever recorded was in Chile in May 1960. It was a 9.5 on the Richter scale. May 22nd, 1960. Killed over 1,600 people. Now, like I said, these and people rate that as in one of the lists, it was the number one earthquake because of how strong it was. But number three on that same list, which it should be number one, right? What's your opinion? Let me know. Shoot me an email, hit me up on any of the socials. Do you think we should measure these in terms of loss of life? Because that's the most important, or property damage in the amount of how much money, X amount of billions of dollars? Should we do it based on the strength of the storm or earthquake or whatever it is, how strong the incident was? Well, let me know. What's your thought? How you think? I think we should do a comprehensive one that factors in all of that. I think we got AI now. Can we tell AI to do that? Yo, AI, do that. Let's get a new rating system based on these many factors. But yo, Sumatra, Indonesia, the day after Christmas, December 26, 2004, a 9.1 magnitude, and it killed over 227,000 people. That's almost 250,000 people. And almost 2 million people were left homeless. So, like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and stop there because I got all these stats. Y'all know I dig deep whenever I'm doing these specific topics, and I did the same thing. I spent about an hour or so digging in, probably longer. I always amaze myself when I'm doing research. This podcast serves many purposes, and one is it's expanding my knowledge base on a wide variety of subjects. I did the update episode last week. If you haven't checked that out, please do so. Um, Working on a bunch of different topics. I'm always looking for new topics too. If there's something you'd like to hear me dive deep into or research and do an episode on, let me know. Mike's Opinion Show at gmail.com. I always welcome your feedback. Hit me up on any of the socials. Again, I ask you, like, share, subscribe, follow, and comment. Participate. Be greatly appreciated. Um, and support the show any way you can. And like I said, that'd be greatly appreciated. But don't fuck with the weather. Plain and simple. Be prepared. If it's too hot, stay your ass inside. If you gotta go outside, stay hydrated. And this is a side note. I'm looking at these, there's always Texas is booming. So there's always road construction. I live in a northern suburb of Dallas, and I'm looking at the landscapers, I'm looking at the construction people, I'm looking at the road workers that's in that heat. And I've done my time in the heat. Okay. I used to be a cable splicer for a telecommunications company many, many moons ago. I did 2 summers out there on a telephone pole or underground or on the backside of a building splicing telephone wires. I've done it in my younger days. This was a long time ago. I've been self-employed for over 20 years. So, but I look back and go, wow. And I remember my grandmother, may she rest in peace. Rest in peace, Nana. Um, and sent us some pictures because she still lived in New York at the time before she passed. And she's mentioned how dark I got. She didn't say it in the most complimentary fashion, neither. And she was already dark. Anyway, I guess she was just surprised to see me that many shades blacker. But um, I just look at these people working, and to me, it seems like it's a different kind of heat. When you young, you don't pay no attention to the heat, how cold you are. Like when kids will play outside until they frostbit or until they pass out from the heat. So I guess when you get older, as I am getting older, maybe you become more sensitive to it because it's too hot. But I have never really been a hot dude. There's only one good thing about hot weather, and no offense to anyone, but that's that the ladies wear less clothing. I like that because I am a man. And I know you can't say nothing about nobody or nothing in these days, but to hell with that. I am who I am, and I am a man. And yes, I appreciate the female form. And that is the only advantage of the hotter weather to me. I'm a cold weather dude. Anything over 72 degrees, keep it. Keep it. Anyway, um, I just put these people in my prayers, my positive vibes, because they out there and and I was the same way when I worked outside in the summer. You wear long sleeves to protect yourself from the sun. At the same time, you're perspiring and it's just hot. It's just hot. If you got to be outside in the heat, hydrate, shade, take breaks. If you're in the path of a hurricane, take the proper precautions. Evacuate if you can. Take the things that are mobile and most precious to you, and everything else, let it be replaceable. Photo albums, and a lot of people don't even have those right now. Like all our photos live digitally somewhere, just like all of our songs. But I still got albums, records, and photo albums. And I keep saying one day I'm printing all my digital joints in a photo album that's tangible. I can hold it. And if electricity ever goes somewhere, I can still look at them. I still like flipping through photo albums. It's not the same on your phone. To me. That's Mike's opinion. If you know a tornado is coming, do what you can. I do not know why in New York City in particular, where I grew up, I could say almost any building that I know of that I've been in has a basement. Here in Texas, where tornadoes are likely, there are no basements. Now, a lot of that's because of the ground, but you can buy a storm shelter. Every building in Tornado Alley should be equipped with a underground shelter, or maybe one that's above ground that's anchored that can withstand 300-mile-an-hour winds. It's about money though, right? Yeah. Be prepared. Take care of yourself. Watch and respect the weather. That is my message to you today. That's really all I wanted to say. I hope you're doing all right. I hope you are doing okay. I hope you're doing better than okay. If you are not okay, get help. If you are not okay, find a pathway to okay. I believe there's a solution to every problem. There is a way back to get good with yourself. I'm Mike. This is the Mike's Opinion Podcast. Thank you so much for listening and for watching on YouTube.
Thank you so much for listening to Mike's Opinion. Logic Unleashed.